Hey guys. Hey, this is Finn. Say hello. My son Cooper is videoing us. Say hello, Cooper.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. It's February 8th. I don't know if I said that yet. And we are talking about Exodus 22:16 through 24. So we're still with Moses in the Old Testament by Mount Sinai, giving the law, all of that business. And remember, we talked about with the Old Testament, it's still important. Even though we don't have to follow all the practices of the Old Testament, we still obey the principles and look at it through a New Testament perspective. Okay, so we start off chapter 22, and God is validating women, which I love, of course, because I'm all about validating women, and we see that with Jesus in the New Testament too. He was always talking to women and letting them know that they were just as important as men. So I love that. Then as we go on through chapter 22, we see that God has no tolerance at all for anything that's going to drag people away from him. So we want to make sure that we are the people that are leading people to God instead of dragging them away. You know, because that has eternal consequences. Anything that's going to drag people away from him affects their eternity. And so God, he don't play. He don't play when it comes to that. Also, he wants them to respect foreigners because he said, remember, you also were once a foreigner. And it just made me go, hey, we can't forget where we came from. All of us were a mess before we came to Jesus. So for us to look at other people and start judging them and thinking poorly about them or thinking they're beyond being saved, all of that is ridiculous. We need to remember that we were once those people too, and we need to simply love them in Jesus' name. He goes on, there's more fair treatment of people. And here's what I came away with. All of these laws, it's just basically if we would just go ask these two questions. How can I love God in this situation? Or how can I love this person? And that pretty much encompasses all the law, right? How can I love this person right now? Okay, well, does he need a coat? Well, I'm going to give him a coat, you know? So how can we love those people? Then there's also more about resting and reconnecting. So this being Saturday, it's a great day for you to rest and reconnect with God, either today or tomorrow. Then he goes on with feasts and celebrations. And towards the end of that, he says that he wants us to bring him our first and our best. And so my challenge to you this weekend is just ask God. Ask God, God, how can I bring you my first and bring you my best? What does that look like for me personally? And then in chapter 23, he's promising his presence as they go on this journey. He's going to accompany them for the entire journey. And then he institutes a covenant, which is a really, really serious promise. The whole covenant ceremony that we'll learn about later, it's fascinating. But a covenant is way more than just a promise. But he says, you know, if you obey my laws, then I will be with you and protect you. And so that's a promise. Remember what we do with promises in the margin, mark it as a promise, and we'll see how that goes. And then he tells them to obey because we know there's safety in obedience. He also says, don't make any treaties with these people because, again, that will lead them into the trap of idolatry, which has eternal consequences. So don't do that. And then Moses is immediately obeying whatever God is telling him to do. Moses is doing. And so in chapter 24, he presents the law. And what I thought was Moses is being immediately obedient. The people were like, yes, we will obey. So their intentions were great. There was immediate obedience. And so I just started thinking when we don't want to obey, it's more of a heart issue. And we don't have to feel like, gosh, we're horrible people. I don't want to obey. Go, why don't I want to obey here? What's my heart issue? Take it to God. Ask God what that heart issue is, and he will help you with it. He's not going to beat you down about it. And then the last thing I want to point out is that, like I said, the Israelites were like, yes, we will obey. And we all know they did not do a great job of obeying. So then my question is, what happened? They started out with great intentions, but you know that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Intentions don't mean anything. Action, baby. And so we have to wonder what happened. And so we'll be looking for that as we continue to read kind of what lured them away from obeying. We'll see what that is. Okay, and so the chapters end with Moses ascending in the mountain into the smoke and the fire, and they said that what it looked like to Israel, the Israelites, was just fire. And so that's the last thing they see about Moses. and then he's up there for 40 days and 40 nights. And we'll see how the Israelites do with that. All right, so tomorrow, Saturday, is Exodus 25 through 28. Sunday is Exodus 29 through 31. See you later. I'll talk to you on Monday.